Hello, salam alaikum. They say you can put a lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. What's happening to Somalis in Maine is not random. It is organized and is paid for by billionaires, xenophobic and biased campaign to target and victimize the Somali community. And to make matters worse, they enlisted and they are using a Somali ethnic native informant by the name Abdi Iftin, aka Somali Cowboy. Steve Robinson made a career out of attacking Somalis constantly.
Steve Robinson, editor-in-chief of the Maine Wire. Busy news day. I landed on my flight back into Portland to the news that sadly the Mogadishu store was the subject of a search warrant today. It's been a staple for 25 years.
A local media outlet whose primary target is to victimize, attack, and constantly smear the Somali community in Maine and globally. What's happening in Maine does not feel random. It feels organized. In a state of roughly about 1.4 million, Maine Wire has built an audience of roughly 200,000 followers across Facebook and X, plus 26,000 Substack subscribers. That is not a small scale or fringe platform. That's a machine powerful enough to shape public opinion at a scale. The article says donors linked to these two billionaires, mega donors, Tom Kleinstein and Leonard Leo, gave millions of dollars to the Maine Policy Institute, which is the funder or the main funder of the Maine Wire. The Maine Wire is literally the media arm of that organization. So when you see an outlet repeatedly targeting one vulnerable community, you have to ask, is this just an opinion or is this funded political project? And then you look at the human cost.
Interesting day here in Lewiston. John with the Maine Wire. We're out in front of the mosque.
A lot of cash, John.
What? That's a lot of cash. Look at all that cash. Hey, how are you?
Brother, you gotta stop recording, guys. What's going on here?
Who's up? Hey, I'm just trying to get your guys' side of the story. What's going on?
So on April 2nd, 2026, the Portland Press Herald reported that a 16-year-old Somali boy from Lewiston was turned into a life-sized prop at a Republican gubernatorial debate after the Maine Wire photographed him outside of the masjid during Eid. According to that same report, his mother said that he had not left the apartment since. He missed the school and he was afraid to just go outside. That's not abstract politics. That is what happens when a media group such as the Maine Wire decides a whole community is a fair game and a target. So think about this for a second. A teenager goes to prayer. Someone takes his image. Then adults in politics and media turn him into a meme, a symbol of a prop, a message. And the message to the Somali families is simple. You are watched. You can be watched. And you are singled out and you will be used. And to make matters worse, they enlisted a native informer by the name Abdi Iftin, aka Somali Cowboy, or what Somalis even call him as Jajus Boy, who makes a perfect mouthpiece and a useful native informer for this group. An idiot, I would say. So, known to many people from his quote-unquote Call Me American book, he's an ethnically Somali person who constantly bashes and is used against his own community. And the Maine Wire couldn't have found a better partner. The Maine Wire published his commentary, which says, silence is the real fraud. It provides the Maine Wire exactly the kind of poster boy they crave. That's one of the oldest tricks in the propaganda machine, in the propaganda world. Making the attack look neutral by putting somebody who looks familiar, who may be from that community. So that way you get a little bit of credibility with your audience.
Yes, there is a deliberate effort to resettle the Somali refugees by groups like Catholic Charities. So Catholic Charities makes...
And none of it is happening in a vacuum. Lewiston, Maine, its own public history says Maine's recent past is deeply tied to racism and xenophobia, especially when the late mayor, Larry Raymond, wrote an open letter to the Somali community back in 2002 to refrain from moving to the city. So this is the bigger point. The playbook is old, even if the technology is new. So find a group that is visible, vulnerable, and easy to isolate. Flood the public with suspicion. Wrap it in headlines. Debate the props and viral posts. Back it with donor money. Then call it concern, call it reform, call it journalism. Anything except what it is. Islamophobia, xenophobia, and basically outright harassment.
People who've crossed the border illegally and distribute them throughout the United States.
This is great, Steve. I'm Catholic.
Well,
Didn't know this.
Well, good for you. Catholic Charities doesn't really have anything to do with being Catholic. It's just a nonprofit that makes a ton of money and has some kind of a...
Steve Robinson with the Main Wire even has this crazy conspiracy that when elder Somali people die, their bodies are chopped up in halal markets so we can hide it from the government in order to continue collecting social security checks. You can't make this stuff up.
Immortals.
I was talking with
The immortals.
Liz to me. She's like, you ever looked at cardiac arrests involving Somalis? She's like, I was talking with Minneapolis police officers, and none of them ever remember responding to cardiac arrest, aneurysm, stroke of a older Somali person. 100,000 people out there. The odds say that some of them are going to have heart attacks, and then the police or the emergency services are going to be called to respond. There's some natural deaths happening from medical events within the Somali community that are not being reported. If grandma's got subsidized senior housing, an EBT card, and Medicaid benefits, and you report that she's passed away, those benefits get shut off. What are they doing with the bodies? My mind goes to the facilities that they have for processing meat. This is security camera footage from outside a Somali market. So he comes out and he sets something on the ground. It's his arm, and it became no longer connected to his body, and he's walking.
So technically we are immortals, according to the system, according to what he says.
The immortals.
I was talking.
Here's also Steve Robinson appearing with Abdi Iftin, aka Somali Cowboy, them bashing the whole notion of DEI as white liberal conspiracy is imposed upon Somalis and other blacks.
Look at these agencies, Steve. They're all doing the same thing, right? Nobody's really thinking of bridging the gap, but it's more like mental health, because most immigrants have mental issues. Really? You know, we survived a lot. Everyone I know in my community, whether it's Lewiston or Portland, a lot of them are like, I want to go to work, I want to send my kid to school, just live a normal life. And then these agencies come in and create a narrative that, you know, oh, the schools should have, you know, a place to pray for these kids. The schools should really respect.
It's like a rich liberal white version of diversity and equity and inclusion that's being imposed upon you that you don't want.
Exactly. You know,
Which is it's funny.
That's pretty much the way it is.
It's kind of funny. It's like
that's pretty much the way it is.
It's kind of funny.
Right?
I mean, it's funny, but it's not because it's all taxpayer funded and it's like insulting.
Yeah.
But they're doing it because they think that they're more enlightened and more tolerant and respectful of other people.
This other affiliate media attacking Somalis constantly, going to Somali businesses, unsuspecting people going about their business, and constantly harassing them, Nick Shirley style.
Found of the businesses that are registered in here, of the 20-something businesses, 10 of them are home healthcare businesses. As you can see, Prestige Home Care, Bright Star Home Care, Atlantic Community Support, 5 Stars Home Health Care, Prime Home Care, LLC.
When millions of dollars are tied into this ecosystem pushing for these xenophobic, Islamophobic narratives, we should never pretended this to be an isolated situation. Safia Khalid, the first elected official from the Somali community into the city of Lewiston, breaks down how this plays out in real life. I want to link her clips behind this so you can see the big picture. You can see the impacts on the ground, not just hearing it from me.
We go to Lewiston, where we're joined by Safia Khalid, former city council member in Lewiston, Maine, who became the first Somali American to hold that role when she was elected in 2019. She now leads an advocacy group called Community Organizing Alliance, which is responding on the ground right now to the ICE surge. Safia, welcome to Democracy.
There's this man called Steve Robinson, and he is an alt-right white neo-fucking Nazi. He's a neo-Nazi. He's a white nationalist who is continuing to target businesses through so-called media. It's all propaganda. They are targeting Somali-owned businesses, immigrant businesses. If you're black, you're being targeted. If you're brown, you're being targeted. They are doxing people, their addresses, their names online. Somali folks, by the way. What else are they doing? They're intimidating legislators. They're going into their homes. They're trying to fill them. They're trying to harass them.
All of it aided and abetted by none other than Somali cowboy, aka Abdi Iftin, who, when he's speaking Somali language, acts like as if he's cool, he is wadani, he is patriotic. To Somali fellows, he has affinity, but he is nothing but. He is literally working for Somali enemies. As you can see, don't let him fool you ever again. And anybody who speaks up, what does he do? He doxes them. He goes after their families. He calls their employers. He does everything he could possibly do. He calls, if they have any affiliation groups with any professional organizations, he accuses them of anti-Semitism. He accuses them of terrorism. He basically bashes, including myself. Luckily, people know me, so I am not going to be intimidated. However, if I could, he would.